We have a mandatory, you got to wear a mask inside. Mandatory, right? Man, people come up into spaces in like stores in Baltimore, no mask. And guess what? Places are tired of trying to police people and telling them to pull up the mask, because we're hearing story after story of people going to physical violence, even shooting people, because the work at the store simply said, can you put your mask on? And that's the issue. And when it gets to that point where you feel like you got to pull out a gun, not just on a black person, but just for any person, just because they're telling you to do something that you already know. I mean, there are big ass signs on the door.
Oh no! In New York, what was in New York? Three Texans were arrested for physically assaulting. Actually, it's right here. Okay, hold on.
It's like a waitress.
Oh, right here.
The host is right.
It is right here. Vax attack. Tourist tussle with New York City restaurant hostess who asked for vaccination proof. And there's a cell phone video. Let me see if I can go ahead and just play it. Give me some. Come back to me. Let me go ahead and play it. And then and it's like, it's crazy how these folks are acting a fool. I can't find. Let's see here. And again, first of all, the city regulations require to show proof of vaccination. But here's the whole deal. I am not about to go to jail because somebody said, where's your vaccination proof, your card? I am not about to go into the legal system. That's about the dumbest thing in the world. You think if I am visiting New York, which means I have paid, I bought my ticket, I got a hotel, I've traveled there. You think I'm about to mess my damn time up because to get into a fight? Hell no. Now I got to pay bail. I'm still paying for the hotel room. Then if I'm held on longer than I'm supposed to fly back, now I got to buy me a new ticket. Oh, hell no. Here's the video, y'all, right here. Okay, this is all on. She keeps walking up on her, y'all. Somebody walking up on you does not mean you get to swing on somebody and assault them. Those three people from Sisters from Texas all have been arrested.
Damn.
Why you gonna I ain't messing my trip up.
But you know what though, Brother Roland, this speaks to something else though, because you talked about it a couple of times. It speaks to the fact that this whole pandemic has really made people imbalanced and mentally, you know what I mean? Like mental health and dealing with this pandemic and this ongoing just kind of, rules and regulations around this pandemic. This has taken people to a whole nother level of just sanity. Like to think that is a good idea to beat on somebody simply for asking for a vaccination card when you know it's COVID. I mean, like you knew this when before you even touched down in the city, that the city has certain requirements. If you are traveling in 2021, I think that you should check the places that you go beforehand to say, okay, what's the rules around COVID right now?
I mean, that's
right.
Vaccination.
Look, like when I went to the Darius Rucker concert, it was at Wolf Trap. First thing I want, okay, what are the rules? Like, perfect example, when I was in Houston for my aunt's funeral, there was Kim, Babyface, Music Soul Child. All right, so we roll up. They turning people away who had basically purses or bags that were like no bigger than this. They were bigger than this. Then it had to be clear or whatever. Well, first, look, y'all, just so y'all know, I had a bag. First I got 2 phones, I had my Perel. I can't stand ash. I had my bottle of lotion, had my goggles. I had 2 masks, and I had a sweat rag. We're talking about this outdoors in Houston. I ain't stupid. Now, I got laid in with my bag 'cause I'm a VIP. But do understand, I was gonna get in with that damn bag. I ain't going, y'all don't give a damn what y'all say. I'm gonna have the mask, the goggles, I got everything. I am not sitting here, hell, I might have some gloves in there. I ain't sitting there playing with these people, okay? But you're right. Find out before you go somewhere, hey, what are y'all rules? What are y'all rules? And I just think what's happening is, one of the downsides of people in this country, we are Americans. It's about freedom.
Oh, yes.
There's a downside to that. And see, the reason, and I'm telling everybody right now, okay, this is very simple. This is very simple. Y'all can fight on the mask, y'all can fight on the vaccine, but you're gonna lose. I'm just letting you know right now. No, you're going to lose on this one. You're gonna lose on this. I'm just telling everybody, and I don't care how you feel, you're gonna lose on this one. Because what you have to understand is, when you got a significant number of people who are like, no, we ain't trying to play these games. This is now 2021. I'm telling y'all right now, if this thing continues, be prepared for us to be shut down for all of 2022. I told everybody, y'all, ask my wife, ask my family, I told everybody in June of last year, y'all need to go ahead and wipe off 2020 and wipe out 2021. I said, 'cause these folk ain't gonna act right, I said, until 2022. And here we are on September 17th, and we dealing with this, we're dealing with other folks, all kind of stuff, and we're gonna be in the same situation because, folks, freedom, I'm an American, it's my right, okay? Keep playing.
You know, very quickly, Roland, it's interesting we're having this conversation, talk about freedom. Today's the anniversary of the U.S. Constitution being signed, September 17, 1787. But I've said this on this show before. If you go study the Great Pandemic in 1918, 1919, 1920, it killed 675,000 Americans at a time when the U.S. population was 106 million. I think that's about 0.67% of the population when I calculated it before. We're almost at 675,000 Americans dying from COVID.
No, actually, we're past that. We're past that.
Yeah, okay, we just went past that. We're past 675,000 dying. But the U.S. population is 330 million. It's 3 times as much as it was in 1920. If 0.67% of the population dies of COVID, you're talking about like 2.1 million people dying, which means we're not at the halfway point if this continues the way it looks like it may continue if people keep acting the damn fool.
I'm just, and again, I got people who are sitting here, well, the masks don't work. Look, let me tell y'all something. I play golf. The reason my ass got black marks on my damn leg right now is from mosquito bites. I thought that damn off worked. But if you think I'm not gonna walk my ass out there playing golf, especially in Texas, with big ass mosquitoes and not have some off on, you stupid. I'm gonna use whatever protection I can and not go, well, you know, this stuff not working. I'm telling you, and it's driving me crazy because we keep putting these scientists on and doctors on, and I got people who are sitting there. I had somebody who said, you know, why you mad because Nicki Minaj spoke her truth? Because it was batshit crazy. And I'm telling you, it's just, it is, somebody put on YouTube, off attracts mosquitoes. Yeah, you ain't lying. But again, I just want people to understand, especially black people, don't go to jail because somebody asked for your vaccination card. Right. Don't go to jail because somebody said, please put your mask up. And you know what? And if you don't want to put your mask on, don't go in that restaurant.
Don't they have drive-thrus in New York? Don't they have drive-thru restaurants?
But don't stand there and yell, this is my right. Okay? They're gonna show your ass real quick what's your right. Folks, back to our Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit on my property.
Whoa!
Hey, give me your right.
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
So let's go to Nebraska, where this woman's in the grocery store and she's a little upset. She's like, I'm not wearing my mask. I have allergies. And then she does this.
That's a, excuse me?
Excuse me. I'm coming through. You're so cute.
She's coughing on me. She's coughing at me.
No,
yes.
look at you guys. You're so cute.
You're such a Karen.
Okay, whatever. You're such sheep.
Why don't you have a mask on?
Because I don't need to have one on. I'm not sick, and neither are you.
Okay, but you don't have to keep coughing at me.
You don't know who's sick or not.
Can you put
It's my allergies.
You
I
don't
have
know
allergies.
who's sick or not by looking
Oh,
at
you
somebody.
yeah. And so 2 years ago, before anybody started talking about COVID, you were okay with that, though, going out not knowing you were sick, right?
You don't know anything
Right?
about my health.
I don't.
Yeah, she's coughing on me.
I have my allergies, and she got all freaked out because I'm coughing.
No, she don't.
No, she's coughing.
How do you know? You don't know, and she just said, I don't know anything about her health. You don't know anything about my health. Maybe I have a medical release. I don't need to wear a mask.
Okay, bye.
Why don't you have a mask on?
Because I don't need to have one on. I'm not sick, and neither are you.
You don't know who's sick or not.
I have allergies. Oh, yeah. And so 2 years ago, before anybody started talking.
Well, it did not take long to find out who she was. Y'all know Twitter don't play. Her name is Janine Hoskovec, and people found out that she works for the company SAP. Let me take that back. Coughing Karen used to work for SAP. This was issued. This tweet, we have reviewed the incident and confirmed that the individual in question no longer works for SAP. I keep saying, Kelly, every time one of these crazy-ass white people lose their job, a bunch of black people should apply. And I really think we can close the unemployment gap because it's a bunch of crazy people who just, and again, it's just, oh my God, I have allergies. No, you are coughing on people on purpose. That video was uploaded to Reddit, and it's received more than 4 million views. Now she's looking for a job because she lost her job. She lost her job. She lost her job for being stupid.
She was absolutely stupid. For me, even if we weren't in the age of COVID, what she did was unsanitary and straight wrong. in any grocery store, any setting. But the fact that we are in the middle of a global pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, she's a bioweapon and she should have gotten tackled by anybody within her vicinity. Because at this point, there is no excuse for the stupidity, for the naivete. There is no naivete as far as I'm concerned. This was dumb, and this was callous, and this was insidious. This was just mean for her to do something like that. And again, we're in a pandemic. You're supposed to have your mask in stores, in any public setting, and you're purposely not wearing it because you allegedly have allergies. I'm sorry, I have a lot of allergies, and the mask actually helped me not get sick from pretty much anything last year because my mouth was covered and I wasn't, sniffing in pollen and mold and mildew and God knows what else is in the air. So that wasn't a valid excuse either. But like I said before, she was a bioweapon. And if it were me, I mean, on a bad day, she would have gotten some hands. On a good day, she would have just gotten dragged. But it couldn't be me in that video. Absolutely.
The thing for me, Emma Congo, is these people are so, okay, fine, you don't want to wear a mask. Walk around the damn store, mind your business. When you start coughing on other people, we've seen this happen in other cases, and folks were fired. And I have absolutely no mercy whatsoever for any of these people. Not one of them.
Oh, no. Not at all. Look, that's assault, man. I remember when the pandemic first started, and there was that in Ohio, that bus driver who was talking about this lady getting on and coughing and not caring. Then he died a few days later. She's doing that intentionally. And as Kelly was saying, I'm surprised that more and more people are not reacting physically to these guys, but at the end of the day, it's the pandemic. You don't want to get close to these guys, and we don't want to see the violence, but we definitely need to be seeing these consequences. And so I'm glad that SAP did that, and now her face is going to be out there, her name is going to be out there. And just like you in the first segment, we're talking about calling attention to what Christie and all of these guys are doing. We can't let people forget the ignorance of these people. So the videos got to be retweeted, they got to go viral, because we're going to be running into these guys in the next grocery store. And if the only way they're going to learn their lesson is to lose some money, then let them lose some money, because really at the end of the day, there should also be some criminal charges, because who's to say someone in her area when she was doing that, what if she did have it, and what if somebody did catch it? Wouldn't she be liable for that if it was traced back to her? They don't care about any of that type of stuff, but hit them in that economic pocketbook, that's a good start. But sometimes a little more may need to be done, and I'm talking about charges being filed.
Absolutely.
What if she caught it? You know what I'm saying? It's not even about if she spread it. What if she caught it?
But they don't. But in their minds, they don't care.
Folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, there are 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, used for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try. I'm really trying, y'all. I'm really trying to deal. So Nicki Minaj is now trending because Nicki Minaj posted this on Twitter. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're not comfortable with your decision. Make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. 5,297 retweets, 41,100 quote tweets, 26,300 likes. Okay.
Wow.
First, Congo.
You may need a
your cousin actually believed that bullshit. your cousin actually believed that his boy caught COVID and now he impotent. I think Nicki, I think your cousin's boy caught some other shit. And it's not gonna clear up in time for the wedding.
Real talk. Real talk.
Come on, dog. Come on.
Wow. You may need to come at her like you did with Busta Rhymes, man. I mean, these guys, we talked about earlier in the segment, we were talking about Julius Jones and how celebrities have been stepping up. I've been so disappointed with how celebrities have been speaking out ignorantly about the vaccine, about the mask, and so on and so forth. Understand, if you're not going to be for it, just don't say anything. All people are going to see is Nicki Minaj says the vaccines make you impotent. And that's it. And people are going to run with that. I can't believe, and yes, it's probably going to be taken down, but it's already too late. You said it was like 4, she's trending now? Come on, it's going to be 1 million retweets by the time the night's over.
It's all over the place. I mean, it's all, but again though, here's my whole deal. My cousin told me his friend got the vaccine and now he impotent and the girl called the wedding off. Here's the deal, Kelly, and this is just
I'm sorry, I need to fix my face. I'm sorry.
This is just me. This is just me. Nicki Minaj has 22,600,000 Twitter followers. Okay. Mm-hmm. If I go to Instagram right now. Let me check. Nicki Minaj has 157 million Instagram followers. Okay. I don't even know what she has on Facebook. If I had to pull up Facebook, I would say, let's see here. Nicki Minaj on Facebook. I'm assuming she's on Facebook. Nicki Minaj has 48.5 million on Facebook. Okay? Okay, so Roland has 3.3 million between Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. If a cousin of mine told me that his boy got the vaccine and now he's impotent and the girl called the wedding off, my ass is gonna say, put your boy and his doctor on the phone before my ass tweet that out. Cause I ain't trusting my cousin's boy to inform my 3.3 million followers, in her case, her 200 million followers. I'm just saying, I might ask a couple of more questions before that tweet gets posted. Go ahead.
2 things. One, she doesn't have the journalistic integrity that you have for a plethora of reasons.
You
but
ain't
also
gotta be a journalist.
Oh no!
I mean, you can be. That's just that's some hood stuff. Yo, boy. I'm talking about right now. It's somebody in the hood going, hold up. Yo, boy got the shot, and now he impotent. First of all, has your boy shown you his vaccine card? Which shot did he get? If your boy came back and said that he got the Eli Lilly shot, you probably, is it the Pfizer, the Moderna, or is it Johnson & Johnson? Which one you got? I'm just saying, even in the hood, you might ask two more questions before you put it on Twitter.
I agree with you. And, you know, trust but verify, I agree with you. But again, this is also the same woman who is married to a convicted rapist and cannot frequent certain establishments with her husband because of the restrictions of movement that he has on his person while he's on parole or on the sex offender registry list, one of the two or both. This is also the same woman whose brother is serving 20-something years for the rape of an 11-year-old that allegedly she is still trying to pay off the family to not talk about anymore. I say all that to say, even though it's not necessarily related, there's a couple tools missing in her toolbox, in her noggin. So this does not surprise me that she would say such a thing. It is unfortunate that she has such influence and reach and is still that dense. But here we are.
Somebody on YouTube said that boy got that hot sauce. Y'all know. Y'all know he's got a burning sensation, and it's not from the Eli Lilly shot.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, there are 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try. Colorado pastor who mocked AIDS deaths and spread vaccine conspiracy theories, he's dead. Wow. COVID-19.
Good riddance.
COVID-19.
Wow.
COVID-19. And so, oh no, he's not the only one. Let me play this here. Let me try to find it here. This is, again, I just want people to understand, again, these people who are putting all this COVID stuff out there, they make no sense whatsoever. There was one woman who was, same thing, she was in a store. She was in a store. She absolutely was against mask mandates. She didn't like them. She was upset. If I can find the video, man, great. So she, this woman here, was caught on video in a mask and was going through, I have a medical condition. I'm not wearing a mask. I don't care, and I have it. She's an anti-masker. She's dead. She got COVID. She got COVID. So to Kelly's point, you're absolutely right. These folks who, right here, QAnon conspiracy theorists, conspiracists dies from COVID-19, and Trump-loving attorney accuses hospital of medical murder. Okay. I mean, but that's where we are. And so it goes beyond, Kelly, these folks just, stay in their lane. Just the coughing on people and flouting the rules. That's why folks are going to mask mandates. Because you can't trust people to do the right thing.
It shouldn't have to come to this, but unfortunately we're here. It shouldn't take, the government making you be healthier to do the right thing. But I'm all for a mask mandate. I'm all for, making sure that people are getting vaccinated. I'm all for a vaccine mandate, because at this point, it's not about what's the word? It's not about you just being scared at this point. It's not vaccine hesitancy. It's vaccine refusal at this point. And I don't understand why this vaccine over all the others that are likely already in your body, because you have to get them in order to work pretty much anywhere or go to school anywhere. I don't understand why the COVID-19 vaccine is the one that people are up in arms about and ironically are saying my body, my choice. And yet these are the most conservative people on the planet saying my body, my choice. And further, as I understand Hippocratic oaths amongst doctors, but at this point, this is like everybody's saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And at this rate, people are dying not because of COVID, but because of already existing conditions, and they're not able to get to the hospital.
98% of the deaths, the COVID deaths right now, are unvaccinated. This woman named 98%. This woman named Veronica Walsh. This is her. She died this morning, y'all. But this is her a few months ago in a grocery store.
Down here, so it's not real obvious that I'm videoing. Hello. I have a face mask on, honey. And I have a medical exemption and a doctor's note. So I have, somebody sent me an email.
Ma'am, I'm not helping you.
I'll get the manager, please. I have a medical exemption. Down here, so it's not real obvious that
First of all, you're dressed like Zorro.
You play dumb games, you get dumb prizes.
I'm sorry, you've got a mask over your eyes, but you don't want to wear a mask over your mouth. Congo, I'm sorry, but again, and I'm not trying to mock her, but she died this morning of COVID.
It's wow, it's wow. Look, I'm picking up where Kelly was leaving off about how these ignorant folks who are out there not caring about people are making it hard for everyone else to be able to use these hospital beds. I saw a story in Alabama where a man was having cardiac arrest and tried to get into 43 different hospitals and couldn't get in, and ended up dying. And so these guys are so ignorant, so rude, and so disrespectful. But now, and I'll never forget this, Roland. I guess the name I forget you had weeks ago, who said there's a difference between freedom and license. You don't have the license to just do things to make other people sick and jeopardize other people's lives. And so it's unfortunate when anybody dies. We don't wish it upon anybody, but damn it, what the hell did you expect? And now you're at a point. So yes, we got to get these mandates going. New York kids are going back to school. How many of them are going to be shut down in a week? At least they have the mask mandates right now. But we also got to protect our children as well, man. And these folks just don't care, and this is what's going to happen. And so, yeah, we don't care that much about them. But look, they're affecting entire communities, and something has to be done. And Biden needs to step it up with the mandates, period, bottom line.
And just one more thing, and it's a controversial opinion, but I'll say it anyway. I really do feel like if you are unvaccinated by choice and you contract COVID, you lose your right to get hospital care. Just off bat. Like, if you really had every avenue at your disposal to get this vaccine and you choose not to get it because of whatever reason, I don't think you should be getting medical care. You should not be getting a hospital bed. There are people who are having heart attacks still. Other diseases still exist. Cancer still exists. Emergencies still exist. And you put yourself at risk by not getting something that is not only free and available, but is literally created to save your life, and you opt out of it. You basically gave yourself a DNR by not getting the vaccine. So you should not be getting a hospital bed. So I feel like that should be taken into consideration as well by hospitals and doctors, because they are overwhelmed by people who are frankly being dumb. And it's not about shaming them. They are objectively speaking being dumb by not taking something that is for them. It does not make sense to me.
Folks, back to that Roland unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, there are 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, used for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both. A portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try. Next. All right, folks, y'all know what time it is.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, Carl.
Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Well, let's go to Georgia, where parents are calling for a teacher there to be fired after she says the N-word in a viral video. Watch this.
Girl, say I date a black guy. Okay. Then I can say nigga. No, because I got a nigga.
I missed that. Play it again.
Girl, say I date a black guy. Okay. Then I can say nigga. No, because I got a nigga.
Alexandria Boynton, an Alcovey High School art teacher, sitting on the desk discussing when it's okay to use the N-word. 2 years ago, Boynton was named Teacher of the Year. Now students and parents are calling for her job. The art instructor is currently on administrative leave. She says in the video that if she starts dating a black guy, she can say nigga. Really?
Yo, homegirl was just, you could tell this is part of her daily vocabulary because she was just all too comfortable, just the way she just put it out there like that. And so, look, people have all of these debates and conversations. I was just talking about it at my students at American Today in class. People can have honest conversations about it in the classroom, and I believe that teachers who are mindful and sensitive to the conversation of all backgrounds can spearhead that type of conversation. But this woman, she was sitting there acting like she was just all world, all too cool. And I'm glad that those students responded, hell no, because really at the end of the day, they think that the students are going to be like, oh, you cool, I'm with that. And they're like, hell no. And I'm glad the video went out. I'm glad the parents are calling for it because we need to have real conversations about the usage of this term throughout. But this type of nonsense from an educator trying to be down, she needs to be down and out.
Kelly, yeah, she was a little comfortable there.
She tried it. I mean, there's not much to say here other than the fact that she was wrong and that she tried it, and she was still wrong when she tried it. At no point should you even, any profanity in the school should be, banned. I don't know how schools are set up, but when I was in school, profanity in any regard was prohibited by students and especially teachers. So the fact that she was a faculty member at this school and still said it regardless of what the word is. I'm just trying to get to the basics for the moment. The fact that she used profanity in school towards students in reference to herself in a personal manner, which also should not be talked about on school grounds. There's just levels of inappropriateness here that needs to be addressed. N-word notwithstanding. Again, she was way too comfortable with that word, but just from an administrative perspective and just getting to the point, she was wrong just from being a faculty member. And I don't know whether it was because she was an art teacher and she thought, you know, she has license because it's more creative space and more liberal. But again, you tried it and you failed. And as far as administrative leave, she needs to go, because it was just unprofessional to do that at all.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, their 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both. A portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try. All right, Basketball Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas went on this idiot Jason Whitlock's show on Glenn Beck's The Blaze. That tells you all you need to know right there. About this. And so they had a long conversation about race and some other issues, and the national anthem came up. And, you know, you've got white folks like Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher and others who are all upset and mad. Oh, this is separating us and all this sort of stuff like this. And I saw this and I was like, you know what? I got to weigh in on this because there were some things that are factually not correct. But also I want to explain to you really what is at play here while all of a sudden this is the thing. So go ahead and roll it.
You said that we have to eliminate the race box, right? Yes. Tell me something. How do we eliminate the race box when we sing the Star-Spangled Banner on this hand, but then we sing a national Negro anthem here? How is that bringing something together? How do we eliminate the race box if we're doing that?
First of all, great question. And so, you know, for a long time, we fought, you know, not to have the race box in the census report, right? We fought a long time, and they just really kind of got it on, where we got classified black, white, yellow, blue, people of color. Now, when you sing the national anthem and then you sing the black national anthem, the only thing that it does is it's emphasizing our separateness. And what our founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution and everything else, they were talking about bringing us together under one umbrella, under one Constitution, where all men and women are created equal, not these black.
Okay, first of all, go ahead and let it finish play, then I'm gonna come back.
White, red, yellow color boxes, you know, we were aspiring to be that.
Come back.
So
Stop.
when you sing those two different anthems.
Okay, so here's the deal. So, not true, Isaiah. Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, not women. When they said all men are created equal, they meant white men. They didn't even mean all white men. They really meant white landowners. One of the mistakes that we have in this country is that, I keep telling y'all, there's a difference between learning his story and learning history. And the reality is we have been sold a fallacy in the United States. We have been sold a fallacy that America is great and wonderful and things were done the proper way and we're the greatest democracy. God loves us more than anybody else in the world. That's America. That's what we've been sold. What we have to understand is that there's no such thing as the framers wanted everyone to be created equal. That's simply not true. Why? Because they wrote it. They said it. That's literally what they did. Now, the other day on the show, I told you, and I love to watch it. I love to watch it because it is so succinct in explaining exactly the reality of what it means to be black in this country and to understand what folks wanted in terms of the creation. Here's Barbara Jordan, 1974, in her Watergate testimony. Listen.
Jordan, the purpose of general debate, not to exceed a period of 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I join my colleague, Mr. Rangel, in thanking you for giving the junior members of this committee the glorious opportunity of sharing the pain of this inquiry. Mr. Chairman, you are a strong man, and it has not been easy, but we have tried as best we can to give you as much assistance as possible. Earlier today, we heard the beginning of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. We the people. It's a very eloquent beginning. But when that document was completed on the 17th of September in 1787, I was not included in that we the people. I felt somehow for many years that George Washington and Alexander Hamilton just left me out by mistake. But through the process of amendment, interpretation, and court decision, I have finally been included in we the people. Today, I am an inquisitor.
Now, not completely. Because the reality is we continue to have to fight to assert our rights. Press play on more of the interview.
Sizing that, okay, there are two different statuses, not races, because I'm gonna call it what it is. It's status. There are two different statuses in this country, black and white. So there's a black national anthem, there's a white national anthem. Okay, now, if you want to just have one national anthem, then let's come together collectively and decide, okay, what the national anthem is going to be for this country. Not just.
Okay. Isaiah, that's just not true. There's a national anthem. There's one. First, which is the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, let me just remind people, when the Star-Spangled Banner was written, and again, this is what I need us to understand, because one of the things is we have been taught so many things in this country, but we were not really taught everything in this country. What we have to understand is that, first and foremost, the Star-Spangled Banner, when it was written, okay, was not the national anthem. It was a poem. If you actually read it, you'll realize that third stanza, which is being quite debated, deals with the issue of race. Let's just deal with that, okay? Second of all, when we talk about the black national anthem, that's not what it's called. The song is called Lift Every Voice and Sing, written by James Weldon Johnson in 1900. In 1919, the NAACP called it the National Black Anthem, and ever since then, that is what we referred to it as, but it was simply a song by James Weldon Johnson. Why is that important? It's because if you fall for how they are framing this whole thing, then it becomes, oh my goodness, we have two anthems. Actually, we don't. And remember, Star-Spangled Banner, written in 1814, it did not become the national anthem until 1931. Now, they're making a big deal out because the Little Ear Voices Sing is being sung before the Star-Spangled Banner. Y'all do realize that sometimes when you go to the game, they sing America the Beautiful before the Star-Spangled Banner. So what's the issue? That we're singing another song before the Star-Spangled Banner, or that it's Little Ear Voice and Sing? Play more of the interview, please.
National anthem, because the white national anthem has classified as status. We can have an anthem that speaks for Italians, that speaks for Greeks, that speaks for Irish, that speaks for Polish, and that speaks for the Aboriginals who were native to this land already. And that's us.
And so, Isaiah, the only thing what you just said takes us down the path that they want us to go down. Well, let's come up with a new national anthem that we all agree on. And once you do that, then their next step will be, well, let's come up with a new constitution that we all agree on. Oh, now let's come up with a new Declaration of Independence. And the only thing I'm trying to tell black people every day, like, hey man, I know shit started out bad, but that Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and National Anthem, it worked for us. Maybe it wasn't intended for us, but it did work for us. And these people that want you just to throw these things out and let's come up with all new, it's a game, it's a booby trap. It's no different than the same people that ran the game and threw hip hop. Again, it's, you know what? The N-word, it's now a term of endearment. We, the KKK, we're gonna gift y'all the N.
See, I can't even listen to any more of that sheer stupidity from Jason Whitlock. And this is why Isaiah even going on there is just a waste of time. Because see, Jason Whitlock is a buffoon. When he says the Constitution worked for us, no. What we did was make that shit real. That's what Dr. King even said. He said, what did King say on April 3rd, 1968 at Mason Temple? Be true to what you put on paper. So what black people have done since we've been here and said to America, this your paper, this what you put on paper. Be true to what you put on paper. The reason Jason is a buffoon and lying is because and y'all heard me say this, 1619, go to 1970, use 1970 as a marker when we were technically fully free. We have only been fully free Americans for 51 years. And we're still not fully free. Because if we were fully free, there would have been no reason for the Superior Court decision today in North Carolina. If we were fully free, there would be no reason for there being an EEOC. If we were fully free, there would be no reason for COVID showing the health disparities in this country when it comes to black and white. If we were fully free, you would not have the economic gap that exists right now. See, the whole deal is this here, and this is the real reason why I say, Isaiah, anybody else, the reason you don't even engage in that silliness when it comes to the national anthem versus the black national anthem is because they want to put any conversation that breaks down white supremacy and now invokes fairness, they don't want that to happen. They want the battle against critical race theory, they want to put everything that's race underneath that, everything about equality underneath that, because they don't want to change it. You hear, oh, no, you hear, we're like, they talking about changing some stuff. Well, yeah, that's why we have constitutional amendments. Some things need to be changed. That's why when you saw the photo of John Lewis and Andrew Young and C.T. Vivian and Reverend Joseph Lowry, Eric Holder said, that's Founding Fathers 2.0. Because, see, there was no American democracy from the Declaration of Independence until the 1965 Voting Rights Act. See, this is the game being played. Because the reality is this, white folks are born in America, they don't ask about what are my rights, they get them. We have to have special rules because it's still written for them. And this is the thing I need people to understand. And so, y'all, do not, Isaiah and everybody else, don't, if you do any more TV shows and bring a national anthem, you say, I ain't wasting my time with that. This is what I would have said, Isaiah. Jason, let's talk about how many black owners in the suites. Let's talk about, do you have equality with black coaches on the field? Let's talk about, Jason, how many black folks you got in the press box as well. See, they want us caught up in this, and black people didn't ask the NFL to play the national anthem. They chose to do so because they got their ass kicked up by Colin Kaepernick. Game recognized game. So I'm not going to fall for the silliness of Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly and the rest of these people. We're going to deal with the reality of where we stand in this country, and that, folks, is what must happen. Let's go right now to our good friend, Gerald Horne. He is the author of numerous books, The Bittersweet Science, Racism, Racketeering, and the Political Economy of Boxing. As a professor at the University of Houston in Houston, Texas. He also has another book we've talked on the show about. This is the one that drove all these white folks crazy who don't like the 1619 Project. It is called The Counter-Revolution of 1776, Slave Resistance and the Origins of the United States of America. And Gerald, always glad to have you here. The thing that I was just laying out there is, again, we're dealing with history and his story. America was not created for all men and women to be equal. It was for white landowners. And even if you study the Constitution today, which is why Jason Whitlock is a sheer idiot, the Electoral College today was a slave compromise. That wasn't democracy because they still wanted to be able to control those white landowners who became president.
Well, I have to say I was disappointed in Isaiah Thomas. I know that he matriculated at Indiana University, one of our leading institutions, but I guess he must have missed classes in history. He was at basketball practice, I assume. But now he is a grown man, and he should be aware that history is constantly being rewritten. Recall that W.E.B. Du Bois changed our understanding of the period following the Civil War with his epical volume, Black Reconstruction. And today, we have various creators, writers, scholars who are rewriting the story of the United States of America. I would include the Haitian filmmaker Raoul Peck in Exterminate All the Brutes, of course, Nicole Hannah-Jones in the 1619 Project. And what they're all telling us is that the traditional narrative that we've been fed, per what you were just suggesting, Roland Martin, has basically been nonsense and poppycock. I mean, for example, Isaiah Thomas says that we are separating ourselves. The fact is we have been separated. He gives out this inaccuracy concerning the U.S. Census and how supposedly we're trying to get away from boxes. If you go back to the original U.S. Census in 1790, it, of course, was grouping people according to, quote, white, unquote, according to whether or not they were slave, unquote, and just like today.
The first one, hold on, let me repeat. The first U.S. Census since 1790 had racial classifications. We didn't vote on that. That was them.
Well, clearly. I mean, that's why I was so disappointed by Isaiah Thomas. And I noticed that he was speaking against a backdrop of the NBA, the National Basketball Association. And I would assume that the NBA would want to dissociate itself from his inflammatory and indeed ignorant remarks because they're quite misleading at the end of the day. And I'm happy to see, Roland, that you mentioned the third stanza of the Star-Spangled Banner, which in no uncertain terms denounces the black population, because recall that that anthem was written by a slave owner, Francis Scott Key, during the war with Britain, 1812 to 1815, and he was denouncing the black population because the British were offering us a better deal, and so we defected to their side, helped them to burn down Washington, D.C., and then fled on British boats to Trinidad and Tobago, where our descendants continued to reside. And so Francis Scott Key was very upset by that development. That's why he denounces it. It's one of the rare national anthems that singles out for denunciation a significant portion of the citizenry.
See, the thing, but see, here's what you're dealing with here. And you hear Isaiah talking about status and class and in terms of, in terms of race and black. But the issue for me, which is the most fundamental issue, is what's the agenda of the person I'm talking to? The agenda of a Jason Whitlock, and I don't know who that fool was he was talking to on the set, and Glenn Beck's The Blaze ain't got nothing to do with black liberation. And see, when you hear, again, a Whitlock talking about, these people, to go from rewriting the Constitution to hip hop. I mean, his arguments are so weak because what we have to understand when you are a student of history, when you are a student of this country, when you are a student of how this was constructed, what we are dealing with today and what we've been dealing with since 1619, what we were dealing with during the period of Reconstruction, what we were dealing with during the 92 years of Jim Crow, what we were dealing with during the Civil Rights Movement, or the Black Freedom Movement, and ever since then has been an unwinding of this tightly wound, knit ball of white supremacy. And we have been trying to peel this thing back and unwind it. If you tear a baseball apart and you begin to pull the string and tear it apart, what you're trying to do is unwind this tightly wound ball that has constrained and constricted black people from being real, true American citizens. And when Jason says these things, what Isaiah's response should have been is, the changes have to be made because police departments today were slave patrols yesterday. And when you see their actions today, they're rooted in their history. When you look at the housing issue in America, look at redlining, the lack of access to capital, all of these things can all trace back to that very document that Whitlock was praising, as if somehow that document serves as the true freedom piece for black people. You can't say it is when the document itself was designed to choke us.
This is a very serious conversation we're having, and I hope your audience realizes that. As you suggested a few moments ago, in state legislatures across the United States, there's this demagogic attack on what's called critical race theory. Now, the attacks on critical race theory really are misleading. In fact, what you just sketched and outlined, Roland Martin, in some classrooms, particularly in the South right now, you could have a teacher being fined for telling the truth.
Or fired.
And so,
yes.
Or fired. And so that's why this is very serious, because what I'm afraid to say, Isaiah Thomas and Jason Whitlock were feeding in to this right-wing ideology, which at the end of the day may well come to bite them in the behind. And the fact that they don't even realize it makes it even more disturbing and troubling.
I'm gonna pull my panel in here as well. And look, I talked to Isaiah and today, and I say, look, I sent him a text and I said, I'm gonna talk about this on the show. Isaiah is supportive of the show, joined our fan club early on. And the thing that he said is that, he said, I really wanted to, he said the focus should really be on these birthing rights, if you will. And that is, again, if you're white in this country, what do you get when you're automatically white and we're still fighting for these battles? But the thing that I am conveying is that they don't want us focused on the national black anthem versus the Star-Spangled Banner. Not they want us focused on it. They want to focus on that, because really what the strategy here, Gerald, the whole strategy, whether it's this critical race theory, 1619 project, anything, it is really all about how can we rile up our white base to get them to think that they are about to take this stuff over, and they want to change our values. And when people say our values, they're not saying our American values, they're saying our white values. They want to change what we have constructed because America has been constructed through the prism of whiteness. It has been defined by that. And what they do not want is for us, now that we have voting rights, now that we have representation in Congress all the way down, all of a sudden, oh, no, we don't want them having to change, change this. And I keep going back to, if I played it, they would block us on YouTube. That scene from The Good Shepherd, when Joe Pesci asked, he said, let me ask you a question. The Italians, we got our family, and he said, we got our family in the church. He said, the Jews got this. He said, he used the N-word about black people. He said, at least they got their music. The Irish got this. He said, what y'all got? And he said, we have the United States of America. The rest of you are just visiting. That is what all of this is about.
Well, I'm afraid to say that you're onto something, Roland Martin. And once again, I have to say, I'm sort of puzzled by the fact that Isaiah Thomas would say what he said and still be a contributor to Roland Martin Unfiltered. When you talk to him, how did he explain himself?
Well, no, he said that what he wanted to focus on was, again, these birthrights and what we don't have compared to whites. And look, but it's also understanding who you're talking to and who you're going up against and what their goal is. If Jason Whitlock said, Roland, come on my show, I know exactly what he's trying to do. I know who he's talking to. I know who he's talking to. I got some fool, another black dude who worked for The Blaze, who's been trying to come at me for the last week on Twitter, trying to ask me all these other questions. I'm like, dude, I'm not playing your little game. And he wrote some little article about me, how I'm selling out black people to stay on the Democratic plantation. And I'm sitting there saying, yeah, but it's your party that's the one trying to keep my people from voting in North Carolina. And so the thing that I want African Americans, whether you are basketball players or football players or singers or entertainers or whatever, is to be fully cognizant of this really intensive effort to keep us from actually asserting our rights. Because I'm telling you, Gerald, all these people not fully understanding, because they got to be asking, wait a minute, how all of a sudden, hell, the NFL and NBA, they've done lift every voice and sing before games before. Why all of a sudden now it's an issue? Who all of a sudden plucked critical race? Gerald, this is my 13th black media experience. Do you realize in the previous 12, I never even heard of critical race theory? And that's black. I've been black, 3 black newspapers. Tom Joyner, BlackAmericanWeb.com, Savoy Magazine, Major Broadcasting Cable Network, Dallas Examiner, Essence, Ebony. I can go on. All of a sudden, where's it coming from? I keep telling people, all of this in my book, White Fears, coming out in the first quarter next year, y'all. It all emanates from this question that was asked in 2009 after Obama got inaugurated. Who is optimistic about the future of America for your children? Every group except white Americans, a majority, were optimistic about the future of America for their children except white Americans. That is what we're dealing with, and that's why the Republican Party wants to appeal to these crazy, demented white folks who are going to be here in D.C. tomorrow, because they are afraid that we, Gerald, now have political, economic, social power, and we are not afraid to use it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned 9/18, this rally that's taking place in Washington tomorrow in support of the insurrectionists of January 6th. The FBI is reassuring us that there's nothing to worry about, move along. But that's what they told us on January 5th, 2021. And you almost had the Vice President of the United States lynched. You almost had the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, lynched. So I hope that they know what they're talking about with regard to this manifestation, this demonstration tomorrow. And if they're wrong, I'm afraid to say that there's going to be a hot time in the old town tomorrow.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that because Trump has already yelled, this is a setup, and I think they're going to be a little too scared to come in. I want to bring in the panel here, and I want to start with you, Michael, then go Michael, Kelly, Faraji. The thing here, again, is understanding what the goal of a Whitlock is, and that is to absolutely be an agent of white supremacy. And what I'm trying to get everybody, I'm trying to get anybody who's out here who's talking about these issues to be very careful to understand what is going on. It's the same reason why I lit into Chris Christie. I'm not going to sit here and praise you for your speech at the Reagan Library about how the Republican Party has lost its way and what it needs to do to go forward, and you take these unnamed jabs at Trump when you are also complicit because you helped put him in power.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hello, Dr. Gerald Horn. This is Michael Imhotep from the African History Network. How you doing, brother?
Right on.
All right. I met you at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History here in Detroit. It was either 2017, 2018.
Man, come on!
I'm coming to it, Roland. I'm coming to it.
When you met somebody, we ain't got all day. Let's go. Come on.
I'm coming to the question. Can you talk for a minute? You know, in the clip we saw, Isaiah Thomas talked about class and the census. And we know that when we look at the census and the racial classifications, people immigrating from the Middle East and North Africa are classified as white based upon the U.S. Census and the U.S. government. Can you talk about why how those particular racial classifications came about? Why people coming from North Africa, Egypt, Libya are classified as white in the Middle East?
Well, obviously, it's to bulk up the community that's defined as white. There is a demographic struggle taking place now. One of the reasons for voter suppression, and I noticed Roland mentioned the North Carolina decision, which is very important, but one of the reasons for voter suppression and trying to make sure in particular that black folks don't vote is that the Republican Party has transformed itself into being the party of whiteness, if not the party of white supremacy. But it's very difficult to get people who are not defined as white to vote for the party of whiteness. And so you not only have voter suppression, you have sort of a redefinition. So therefore, Ralph Nader, the former presidential aspirant, whose roots are in Lebanon, he is defined as, quote, white, unquote. And even though I use the term Euro-American, oftentimes in lieu of white, in some ways that's a misleading term because of what you just said, because you don't necessarily have to have roots in Europe. You can have roots in Lebanon, for example, and still be defined as white, but it's a numbers game that's basically taking place.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly?
Yes, Dr. Horn, thank you. Something that I haven't really heard in this debate or discussion rather, because it's not much of a debate, is, and I think I already know the answer to it, but the fact that we don't talk about, there are 4 other national anthems that we have outside of our main national anthem. We have America the Beautiful, My Country 'Tis of Thee, God Bless America, This Land Is Your Land. All of those are regaled or heralded as a national anthem in this country, not the national anthem, but certainly up there as an American hymn. But when it comes to Lift Every Voice and Sing, one that is not rooted in any type of racial bias, one that was written by a black man, composed by another black man, his brother, all of a sudden it's a problem. So if you can give us some insight as to why you think that is, I think I know the answer, but the fact that there is this stark dichotomy regarding Lift Every Voice and Sing that isn't considered an anthem for anyone outside of NAACP dubbing it as one versus the other 4 songs that are certainly played at NFL games and the like.
Well, the short answer, and I'm sure you know this already, is that black people are treated differently as a people apart. This goes back to slavery, when we did not want to be enslaved, and so therefore we were always rebellious. We were always trying to ally with the real and imagined foes of this United States of America, including Native Americans, including the British, as I said, during the War of 1812. And as a result, when you engage in that kind of seditious behavior, motivated by a desire to escape slavery, you're treated differently and you're treated as a people apart. I recall when I was at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I was supposed to be organizing and forming a so-called Black Cultural Center. And the white supremacists say, well, that's separate. Well, I said, well, if I walk down the street, I see a Hillel Center, which is for Jewish students. Is that separate? And of course, it was not deemed to be so because they were considered to be part of the overall white community. So the answer to your intelligent question is quite simple. We're treated as a people apart, in part because of our rebelliousness, which goes back to the slavery experience.
And before, and there's this great article, folks, that is called in the Washington Post. It's called "The Ugly Reason the Star-Spangled Banner Didn't Become Our National Anthem for a Century." And one of the things that the article lays out is that, first of all, as Gerald said, Francis Scott Key was an enslaver, came from the family. He also enforced, as the DA of DC, enforced slave laws as well. And he also recommended his brother-in-law to the Supreme Court, Roger Taney, you know, the dude with the Dred Scott decision. That tells you all. But the thing that's interesting about this, Gerald, and this is where, of course, Jason Whitlock would never admit to, because people don't want to understand, people don't want to accept history, but they want to believe his story. And this article lays out in here is that not only did Francis Scott Key, was he a racist and believed black people were inferior, and that if they actually were free to be shipped back to Africa, guess how this song became popular? It became popular among post-Reconstruction white Southerners and the military, who pushed for it to become the national anthem, the United Daughters of the Confederacy.
Ooh. Yep,
There it
United
is.
Daughters of the Confederacy. Yep. They help.
But the folks want us to act as if those things didn't exist. Faraji, your question for Gerald.
Yes, Dr. Horn, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Just very quickly, I mean, I think it was absolutely very ignorant of Isaiah Thomas to say that a song emphasizes our separateness when it wasn't a song. It's been history. It's been something that's been researched. But even more so, Dr. Horn, I want to get your thoughts on, you know, there's often, when we have these big conversations, especially about race, there's often black people and white people who jump to the point of talking about unity, talking about reconciliation between the races without really talking about truth and accountability, without saying, hey, some things have to be done to repair the damage that has been done to black people all across this, you know, in the United States and across the globe. So how do we take this conversation beyond everything is all right? We had a black president, things are on the right path, we're all in this together. How do we kind of step back a little bit to really look at the issue of, let's look at the truth of the history, and this is the part that I think scares both black and white people, somebody has to take accountability. White people have to take accountability for what they have done to our people. It's not enough just to say we give you a little bit here, we got a couple of celebrities there. I'm talking about a full-grown, massive, you know, full-scale accountability. How did we get the conversation going in that direction, sir?
Well, if you look historically, the way we were to escape both slavery and Jim Crow is that we lengthened the battlefield. We internationalized the struggle. That's why we were in alignment with Native Americans, for example. That's why you had Paul Robeson, for example, and Martin Luther King Jr., who raised the question of the war in Vietnam. In that light, I was very disappointed to see that at a historic gathering that took place on September 7th, 2021, just a few days ago, you had a virtual summit of the African Union and the Caribbean community, CARICOM. Present and speaking were the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, President Kenyatta of Kenya, Prime Minister Motley of Barbados. They laid out a whole Pan-African agenda. We really haven't seen something of this scope, perhaps since the Pan-African Congress of 1945 in Manchester, England. Now, what's disappointing is that there was no Black American participation, and it was a wonderful opportunity for us to raise our issues, because of course they raised the question of reparations. The Caribbean brothers and sisters, we're going to raise that. And yet we were not there to amplify that call. I think that one of the things we have to do is get our organizations to try to be more globally minded, to try to not let these opportunities pass, and to make sure we have delegations meeting regularly with the African Union, headquartered in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and the Caribbean community headquartered in Georgetown, Guyana, because as our comments this evening have suggested, the forces on the battlefield right now, in terms of the four corners of the United States of America, given voter suppression, given we're talking about coup d'etats that might happen as soon as tomorrow, it's not a very promising scene just looking domestically.
So here's what, to button this up, here's what I want to see happen. And that is, and like I said, I talked to Isaiah. I talked to several other professional athletes who reached out to me, who I talked to today as well, about the segment and the various thoughts. What I want us as African Americans to do, I want us to please go read Jackie Robinson's book, I Never Had It Made. Why? Because Jackie Robinson, in the book, wrote why he would not stand for the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance. Jackie Robinson, the same man who they tried to court-martial in the military, the same man who broke the color barrier in baseball. First of all, the true major league players were in the Negro leagues, but they called the major leagues because that's where the white money was. Jackie Robinson said the reason he called his book I Never Had It Made, he said, because as long as one black man is a victim of racism, then I don't have it made. That's what Jackie Robinson wrote in his own words. Go read the book every time someone wants to throw Jackie Robinson in somebody's face when you want to talk about how we all come together. But this last point is the critical point. And I only played a snippet of the interview, and if you want to go back and look at the whole interview, that's fine. But I need black people to stop embracing others when they go, can't we just come together? Because I need you to understand what they're really saying. I saw people saying, why can't the nation come together like we did after 9/11? And the reason I'm gonna put these two together, because I need y'all to listen to what I'm saying. America has always asked us to put our issues down, so we can stand together as one. Come on. America asked our black athletes, when you run and box for America in the Olympics, you are representing America, the red, white, and blue. Yet when Muhammad Ali came back from Rome and went into a diner in Louisville, Kentucky, in his US of A jacket with a gold medal around, they said, nigga, you can't eat in this restaurant. And that's when he went and threw the medal into the river in a fit of anger. The reason folk want to play the games, and this is why I disagree when I saw that clip with Isaiah, is when they say, why can't we just come together as one? Why can't we just have one song? Why can't we just stand unified? Because I cannot stand unified in a song at a game if you don't believe that when it comes to the ownership. if you don't believe that when it comes to the press box, if you don't believe that when it comes to the people who can afford to buy the tickets and the suites in the games, if you don't believe that when it comes to you can have black players on the field, but you don't have the same percentage of black coaches on the sideline, you cannot ask me to stand here in unity and singing a song if you don't practice that when it comes to housing, when it comes to eating, when a white person with a high school degree makes more money than a black person with a college degree. Don't dare tell me to stand as one if you don't want that to happen in every single aspect. Let me remind y'all, clearly if you don't understand history, the United States threatened to shut down black newspapers. All you gotta do is read Gerald Horne's book on Claude Barnett and the Associated Negro Press, read Ethan McKay's book on the Chicago Defender. They threatened to shut down black newspapers during World War II because they dared to write about fascism and racism. Y'all need to go look up, Google this, the Double V campaign. Google the Pittsburgh Courier and what they created when they said we're gonna fight against racism at home and abroad. They threatened to put black publishers in prison because they said you are creating tyranny and committing treasonous acts for writing about racism in the U.S. Armed Forces. They said this is no time for you to be focused on racism. This is where we are supposed to stand as one. And the history will tell you when black soldiers came back from World War II, they put white German POWs in front of the black soldiers. History will tell you that when they got back to those depots in the United States, black soldiers and white soldiers had gunfights because although they were so-called on the same team in Europe, when they got back, the white soldiers said, nigga, we gonna kill you. And that's why black soldiers were lynched in their uniforms. That's why Byron Della Beckwith struck down Medgar Evers, an armed forces veteran, in his own driveway. So please, I don't want to hear the bullshit about can we all be as one singing a song, because if you don't want to stand with me on fighting racism, sexism, and bigotry, I don't want to hear a damn thing about you trying to sing a song with me.
Come on.
Folks, I can't give y'all one Gerald Horne book to write, to look at. Go to my computer. Gerald got about 4,000 books. You check them all out. Again, I told y'all about the counter-revolution of 1776, slave resistance, and the origins of the United States of America. You should check out White Supremacy Confronted, U.S. Imperialism and Anti-Communism versus the Liberation of Southern Africa from Rhodes to Mandela. Also, I told you the rise and fall of the Associated Negro Press, Claude Barnett's Pan-African News, and the Jim Crow Paradox. I have absolutely read that one. And so there was there's another one on here that I gotta recommend. Oh my goodness, where is it? Where is it? I told y'all Jared got all these doggone books. I'm trying to get to all of them. Of course, a couple of books, obviously, on W.B. Du Bois. And then I gotta get this one, The Color of Fascism, Lawrence Dennett's Racial Passing and the Rise of Right-Wing Extremism in the United States. Yeah, I gotta get that one right there, y'all. Gerald, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Distinguished professor from the University of Houston, my hometown. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared. You dig? I came across this tweet today, and I'll be honest, somebody who I never thought I would have on this show because of a lot of his past comments. Former Congressman Joe Walsh of Illinois, Mediaite posted a clip of my segment on ABC this week. And Joe Walsh tweeted this: "Spot on, Roland Martin. Every one of us Republicans, former Republicans, moderate Republicans, and conservative Republicans must publicly acknowledge and apologize for helping to put that unfit madman in the White House. Every single one of us. Chris Christie and most never will." Joining us right now on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network is former Congressman Joe Walsh. Congressman, glad to have you on the show. You were, if I had a camera on you while I was going through all of that, you were putting your head down, you were nodding, you had this sort of state of disbelief as you listened to Chris Christie give that speech, and then saw that exchange between the two of us on ABC.
Hey, Roland, I am so, by the way, it's an honor to be with you. I am so freaking pissed off right now, but I want to start by saying thank you. I mean it, man. Thank you for what you did yesterday on ABC, calling out Chris Christie. My God, Roland, all of them know who Donald Trump is, and none of them have said anything. I'm listening to Christie at the Reagan Library. It's infuriating. We need to do this. We need to do that. What they need to do is call out him by name. But Roland, you know, and you said it beautifully, none of them will, because if you do, you end up like this former congressman. You're done in the Republican Party. If you call out Trump by name and say he's an unfit madman, then you're done in conservative talk radio like I was. And Chris Christie, what a bunch of bullshit. What a bunch of cowardly bullshit. He can't even, and Roland, you did a great job, because Christie kept going back to 2016 yesterday. Oh, I ran against him in 2016. For 4 years, he sucked Donald Trump's feet. He tried to help him get reelected in 2020. Look, Roland, I screwed up. I voted for Trump in 2016. In a nanosecond after that, I realized how unfit he was, and I lost everything. Chris Christie was still trying to help this guy get reelected? I get it. I'm not naive, Roland. I get it. You said it. If you do what I did, you're done in the Republican Party. And screw Chris Christie and Rand Paul and all these other guys, because they've sold their soul. I'm sorry.
And that right there is the biggest thing for me, because they love talking about integrity and honor and principles and valor and value. They love touting their Christianity and their faith. And they stood with a faithless ghoul, a man who has no bottom, a man who will throw anybody under the bus. Chris Christie kissed his ass after losing, endorsed him. Trump put him in charge of his transition team. What happened? His son-in-law, Jared, I don't want him. Trump dumped him because Christie prosecuted Jared's daddy. After trashing this man, Trump would talk about the man's weight in public and how he would just do whatever and would just kiss his butt. Christie's still going back, still going back, still going back, still going back. Hell, he caught COVID by kissing his butt by being at the Amy Coney Barrett super spreader event at the White House, the same one where Bishop Harry Jackson was, the same guy who preached in the Oval Office on Easter Sunday and died a few months later of COVID, and Trump never even mentioned the man's name, never even sent a tweet out. And these folks, see, I would just rather Lindsey Graham and Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Christie and the rest of them just come out and say, hey, I'm here to kiss his ass because I want to get paid. I want to have power. I want to have proximity to power. That's why I'm doing it. But don't sit here and act as if we don't know what the hell's going on.
Hey, Roland, when I was in Congress, I was the poorest member of Congress. If I had $1 for every time a Republican member of Congress over the last 3 years told me privately how bad, awful, god-awful bad Donald Trump was, I'd be a wealthy guy. But you nailed it, my friend. They all told me that privately. Chris Christie has the nerve to say the Republican Party has to tell the truth without calling out the biggest liar this country has ever had. Roland, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a Republican and you can't call out him by name, Donald Trump, and we've got to get rid of him or this party will never grow, then I don't even listen to you anymore.
Right, and that's that point you just made there when you talk about what they say privately. Look, I can tell you, I know of people who overheard conversations that Rudy Giuliani and Lindsey Graham have had, who were sitting right there, and they were ridiculing him. They were making fun of him. They know he's stupid. They know he can't read. They know he's an ignoramus, but they know, oh, he had the power. Boom, we're gonna suck up to him. That's the only reason.
And Roland, they know he's bad for the Republican Party. More importantly, they know deep down he's bad for this country. My God, some of them have told me privately what I've said publicly about Trump. He's a treasonous guy. He's disloyal to America. Roland, they know that. My God, and they don't say it publicly.
See, and that's why I had no choice but to check Chris Christie and to check Sarah. Because don't try to sit here and go, oh, let's bring us together and a vision forward, and these things are important because here's the deal. If 200,000 votes went a different way, he would be sitting in the Oval Office, and Chris Christie would be sitting there kissing his ass, because Chris will be trying to make money for his lobbying shop or whatever he's doing, because that's what this is about. Principle.
Hey, by the way, Roland, the other really great point you made yesterday is about the party. The Republican Party's done, and Christie knows that. It's Trump's party. Stick a fork in them. They're done. He's running, and if he wants to run, Roland, and I think he will, no Republican's going to challenge him. Chris, there's not going to be a choice between Trump and Christie. Give me a freaking break.
Well, you've already heard Nikki Haley. You've already heard Nikki Haley say, well, if he runs, I'm not running. And here's the crazy thing. Trump has exposed how much of a fraud she is. He's like, she talks about me bad one day, and the next day she walks it back, and then she criticizes me. Even he knows she's a fraud.
Hey, I respect the hell out of you because you speak your mind, even if it cost you TV gigs. I spoke my mind 3.5, 4 years ago, and it cost me everything. Lindsey Graham, Cruz, Christie, they all suck up at the altar of the king, and they're not going to change, Roland, because you nailed it. It's all about power.
Right, and that's just, and we got to call it what it is, and now this whole polishing act of no, that wasn't us. We were not one of those people. No, you were, and you wanted it to continue, and that is the problem. And here's the whole deal. If you're sitting here, and then when Christie goes, well, I just believe in 2016 that Trump was better than Hillary, he knows it's a damn lie. He knows that. He knows, and see, this is where I don't want to hear any crap about the good of the country. This is where you say, because let me tell you something. I go back to Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was a black Republican. Jackie Robinson supported Nixon over Kennedy. And Jackie Robinson was angry because Nixon was not doing more to speak up to try to reach African Americans. Then in 1964, when you had Senator Barry Goldwater, who ran and opposed the Civil Rights Act, it was Republican Jackie Robinson who said there is no way in hell I'm supporting that man and actively campaigned against him. And that's what you do. When you say that person is simply not good for the country, damn my party label, and I cannot support it, I've got to fight against it. That's what Jackie Robinson did.
Bingo, Roland. I have stood on the public square for 3.5, 4 years, publicly apologizing to the country because I helped create Donald Trump. And I'm profoundly sorry about that. Chris Christie did too. Rand Paul did too. Every single Republican helped create that narcissistic, unfit traitor. We have to own it. And if you're a Republican and you can't own it, I don't want to hear from you.
So when we talk about this whole path forward, and look, you have a number of folks in the Lincoln Project. They've got their issues with John Weaver and what he did and what they knew, and they're going through all of that. That should actually happen. Sherry Jacobus, I spent a lot of time with her on CNN, and she's talked about she's fighting cancer, but she talked about how the Trump people went after her and, yes, destroyed her life as well. And that's the thing right there. They are about destroying your life. This isn't like, okay, we disagree politically. No, no, no. They want to destroy your life. They want all your money cut off. That's the reason why Reince Priebus, Trump just slapped this man around like a little child and just abused him, fired him on the plane in a tweet, and then he had to catch a ride with somebody else. And Reince Priebus still walking behind, kissing his ass. And then now he's trying to sit here and have this recount in Wisconsin leading that. And I'm sitting here going, man, do you have any integrity? Any? Like, are you like you? That man disrespected you. Ted Cruz, the man called your wife ugly.
Yeah,
the man called your wife ugly.
No, you're right, man. But then there are all these other Republicans who just kept their mouths shut for 4 years. What has Paul Ryan ever said? John Boehner, my former speaker, wrote a book and came out and said how bad Trump was. He still voted for Trump in 2020. They kept their mouths shut.
And that to me right there is the fundamental problem. Because you know what? Look, I got a problem with a lot of Democrats who said, I just can't vote for Hillary Clinton. You know what? They didn't. And she lost.
Yeah.
She lost. Had those Democrats who did not like her said, I got to put that aside and vote for her, I personally think they screwed up, because what they didn't do was what Republicans actually did. Republicans said it's about power. But the issue for me was this here. The issue for me between Hillary and Donald Trump, and I said, we knew how bad this man was. We knew how pathetic this man was. Black women absolutely knew how awful this man was. And I said, if the country listened to black folks and not voted for Donald Trump, we would never gotten those 4 years. But what this man has unleashed, and that, to me, Joe, is why I was even more offended. I'm looking at Chris Christie going, how dare you stand there and talk about the conspiracy theorists and how we can't listen to them when you supported him and the man was throwing out conspiracy theories the day he walked into the Oval Office. That wasn't brand new because he lost to Biden. Christie empowered that. He empowered that. This is where, Joe, you have far too many people who are in the media who want to be clubby, in bed with these folks, chummy with them, and they don't want to press them too hard. I mean, that's just the real deal. People have to understand it is a major inside game for all the folks in Trump world that exists out there, and that's the game. And I'm sorry, I'm just not going to play that game and let somebody sit in front of me and just say this crap, and they've never owned up to it. You can't go to an AA meeting and make any progress unless you have to say with your own mouth, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict. You can't look. I'm born and raised Catholic. You can't walk in confession and not say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." In fact, these same Christians are the ones who say you've got to profess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. These folks want to say, "Oh no, I wasn't with that. I wasn't done with any of that. No, I was privately advising him against it." Yeah, but you watched it and then you said nothing.
And Roland, and by the way, your guest beautifully said it. Trump is a monster. He's a treasonous monster. And please don't take what I'm about to say wrong. I almost have more respect for nuts like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, who really believe Trump's bullshit than I do Chris Christie. Chris Christie knows that Donald Trump is a lying, treasonous monster. I have less respect for Christie and Lindsey Graham and Cruz because they know the truth. Marjorie Taylor Greene's an idiot. She believes it. These guys know the truth about Trump, but for power, they won't call him out.
Well, it is important to own up to it. I mean, you talked about that and what it has cost you, and in Republican circles, you are absolutely persona non grata. You talked about losing the radio show because your radio show was on how many stations?
About a couple hundred stations, lost them all. But you know what, Roland? Because you can't be anti-Trump in conservative talk radio. Here's the other thing, though. You have to apologize sincerely.
Right.
And I've spent 3.5 years apologizing.
Yeah,
for
because before, let's be clear. Before, I mean, you said some stuff in the past about Michelle Obama and other folks, and you were a flamethrower on the right, and Fox News loved you, and every time you put something out there, and you had to own up to the role that you played in creating and fostering the environment that allowed a Trump to come onto the scene and grab it and then take hold and become president.
Hey, Roland, I helped create that. You agree with me, I think. The GOP base has been radicalized.
Oh, absolutely. When President George W. Bush said on Saturday, he was talking about the Republican Party in terms of the similarities between the radical, I call them domestic terrorists in the United States, and the folks who attacked us on 9/11 in terms of what their goal was. And he didn't name Trump, he didn't name party, but everybody knew exactly who he was talking about.
And all of us Republicans and people like me, Roland, we helped radicalize the base so that when Trump came along in 2016, the demagogue he was, they were primed for him. We got to own that, apologize for it.
So what are you, last question for you, in terms of moving forward? I think you're going to see more speeches like this, and I'll give you a perfect example. People laud Senator Mitt Romney. I don't. You know why? Because he gave that speech, all that hoopla before Trump got elected, and then was kissing his ass trying to meet with him to become his Secretary of State. And see, that's the same thing. Say, I'm sorry, you don't play with evil. You don't play footsie with evil. I got to go to church. You can't sit here and pray to God, but then you want to kick it with the devil. I mean, you simply can't do. Lightness and dark cannot coexist at the same time. And so that, to me, is, again, the same thing. So sure, now Romney wants to say the right stuff, but even Romney has not apologized for trying to get in and play footsie with him and trying to become his Secretary of State, because that was the same thing. It was power.
It was power, Roland. And Mitt Romney, I respect him. He didn't even say who he voted for in 2020. Come on. Here's the deal. The Republican Party is Trump's party. He's got the party by the balls. It doesn't matter what people like Chris Christie say. Donald Trump owns the base that is now radicalized. If he wants to run, Roland, the nomination is his, and nobody will challenge him.
And the fear that I do have, is that his radicalized base, because he lost, will be even more fervent. Two, unless Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema get off their asses and pass the For the People Act, what the Republican legislatures are doing, they are literally positioning states to steal elections. And this thing is real in terms of what's happening.
Hey, Roland, you've got Larry Elder out in California today who refused to say that he would accept the results of the election, win, lose, or draw. This is now the Republican mantra. They will never lose another election fairly. It will all be because of fraud. That's Donald Trump's Oh, I got to watch my language. That's
No,
his
actually,
legacy.
the show's called Unfiltered for a reason. Go ahead.
That's his fucking legacy. Roland, that is Donald Trump's fucking legacy. He has stuck a stake through the heart of our democracy. I'm sorry.
It's all truthful. Former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh, we appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend.
I've been on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, folks. Y'all know what time it is.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Well, let's go to Georgia, where parents are calling for a teacher there to be fired after she says the N-word in a viral video. Watch this.
Girl, say I date a black guy. Okay. Then I can say nigga. No, because I got a nigga.
I missed that. Play it again.
Girl, say I date a black guy. Okay. Then I can say nigga. No, because I got a nigga.
Alexandria Boynton, an Alcovey High School art teacher, sitting on the desk discussing when it's okay to use the N-word. 2 years ago, Boynton was named Teacher of the Year. Now students and parents are calling for her job. The art instructor is currently on administrative leave. She says in the video that if she starts dating a black guy, she can say nigga. Really?
Yo, homegirl was just, you could tell this is part of her daily vocabulary because she was just all too comfortable, just the way she just put it out there like that. And so, look, people have all of these debates and conversations. I was just talking about it at my students at American Today in class. People can have honest conversations about it in the classroom. And I believe that teachers who are mindful and sensitive to the conversation of all backgrounds can spearhead that type of conversation. But this woman, she was sitting there acting like she was just all world, all too cool. And I'm glad that those students responded, hell no, because really at the end of the day, they think that the students are going to be like, oh, you cool, I'm with that. And they're like, hell no. And I'm glad the video went out. I'm glad the parents are calling for it because we need to have real conversations about the usage of this term throughout. But this type of nonsense from an educator trying to be down, she needs to be down and out.
Kelly, yeah, she was a little comfortable there.
She tried it. I mean, there's not much to say here other than the fact that she was wrong and that she tried it, and she was still wrong when she tried it. At no point should you even, any profanity in the school should be, banned. I don't know how schools are set up but when I was in school, profanity in any regard was prohibited by students and especially teachers. So the fact that she was a faculty member at this school and still said it, regardless of what the word is, I'm just trying to get to the basics for the moment. The fact that she used profanity in school towards students in reference to herself in a personal manner, which also should not be talked about on school grounds. There's just levels of inappropriateness here that needs to be addressed. N-word notwithstanding. Again, she was way too comfortable with that word, but just from an administrative perspective and just getting to the point, she was wrong just from being a faculty member. And I don't know whether it was because she was an art teacher and she thought, she has license because it's more creative space and more liberal. But again, you tried it and you failed. And as far as administrative leave, she needs to go because it was just unprofessional to do that at all.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, their 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try.